He like a butterfly flapping his wings deep down into the forest, man. It's gonna cause a tree fall like 5,000 miles away, man. There ain't nobody seeing nobody. Man, see, like, you don't even know, man. It's like you're born into this world, man. And you got like that, man, the dust and wind, man. Or like the dang old candle, man. It don't matter, man. These old things.
All right, Lee, welcome back. How you doing, man?
What's up, dude? How are you? I'm a little sick. I've got like a cold or something going on, so my throat's kind of sore. So sorry for that, but otherwise I'm good.
Yeah, it must be going around. I was texting Braxton, and as, as his primary hater, both on the on the timeline and off. When I heard he had the flu, I was like, "All right, good. This is a good sign. Things are going well for us."
That's what he gets for buying those high end American plate carriers.
I literally completely missed that. I did not catch the drama at all, except for the fact that I am an avid follower of all of the worst accounts on social media, and so I have notifications turned on for Was and Watches tweets.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's just about the only thing I get notifications from on Twitter. And so I saw him, of course, taking the worst position on it. And so I sort of fell into the drama completely backwards, which, and look, not all, but all libertarians are just the worst people in the world.
Well, my favorite thing, like one of the things that is endearing to me about Braxton is that whereas I might wake up with the intent of pissing off the entire internet, like he does it purely by accident. Just, and he's just very good natured and
a seemingly normal position somehow pressed by Braxton.
right. Like literally just saying, "Hey guys, my buddy that I know personally, who like has like a tactical accessory company, made this plate carrier, and I think it's really cool." And then it's like 4 days of angry, like bro vet Vietnamese drop shipper, like drama. It's brutal. I just feel bad for the guy because he obviously didn't mean to upset everyone at once just by being like, "Hey, my buddy made this cool plate carrier. I liked it." But that's that's like a war crime.
You ever thought that maybe there was sort of a fracturing in the timeline, if you will, when he made it after the whole ID thing, and this is all just punishment for that?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, maybe it could be.
I have to be careful because I'm allegedly going out to to hunt bear with Braxton out in the middle of nowhere, and I always have this thought in the back of my head of like, what if I piss him off too much and he just caves my head in with a 338 from 5 feet away just as I got lost?
Yeah,
And I wouldn't even have an argument at that point.
No, it could
Fair
happen.
enough. Look, actually, speaking of hunting accidents, my favorite American hero, Dick Cheney, has passed away. R.I.P. to a real one.
Yeah, man. That's like that is the end of an era. Like that's, I mean, I am a product of like the Dick Cheney period. Like that was my early 20s, late teens. Like that was my reality. Of Dick Cheney just kind of controlling things from an undisclosed location. So not wouldn't necessarily say that he was my guy, but I'm not going to counter signal the guy too hard just because he's kind of like an amusing figure. And in a way, he's almost quaint by comparison to like contemporary villains. Like Dick Cheney was the last like last of the real like evil rich guy villain that gets portrayed by the media, right? Like he was the last time that you could actually point your finger at like a fat bald white guy and be like, it's probably that guy. Like it has continued, of course, to be the like everything is the fault of, you know, white people. But Dick Cheney was like the last white guy who kind of looked like a Disney villain. And so I just have a level of respect for him because of that.
Well, 100%. And it's also, it feels like he's a character from, bizarrely enough, like a more innocent time. You know, an idea that like, oh, well, we just get rid of that guy, you know, and then we can go back to being a real country.
Yeah.
And we didn't realize that we were in the political equivalent of like the spaceship shopping cart from Costco.
Yeah.
You just have like a steering wheel connected to nothing, and you're being driven around by some like hidden power.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the idea that, you know, by the time this is all over, like you'll be begging for Dick Cheney again. Not on my list of expected outcomes, but I think we are rapidly approaching that point.
It is kind of dark, you know, where it's like we, all of the complaining. I actually, weirdly enough, feel sort of the same way about Obama, you know, where it's like at least Obama pretended not to be gay. And now it's like we have all the same stuff, but it's like he doesn't even feel the need to have like a burly man in a dress as his beard.
Yeah. Fucking Obama, man. That guy really did destroy America.
Oh, 100%. You could get me started about, you know, used cars, the price of 22 long rifle. Really just put this country into the dirt.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he did, man. And, you know, that's what we get for like, you know, like old church ladies have never been wrong. And I remember, you know, the era when it was just like, well, every boomer sentiment was just like, he's a gay Muslim who's going to destroy the country. And people would be like, no, you can't say that, grandma. Like, that's crazy. And, 100% on the money.
Well, it's almost like birthers and the whole conversation about, you know, Barack Obama's birth certificate. Like it was sort of, at least in my mind, it was sort of the first trial run of the kind of narrative around like, you know, miss, and malinformation that we really saw kind of kick into overdrive during the, you know, the Trump and Biden years, right? The idea of, you know, this dangerous misinformation affecting our democracy. And as in every other case of alleged misinformation, it was all true the whole time.
Yeah.
In fact, I think there's literally no case where disinformation is incorrect. Well, like, and I remember because, I mean, I was, you know, I was 8 or 9 when Obama was elected. And so I remember just driving around, you know, rural America with my grandparents, listening to nothing but Rush Limbaugh on the radio for hours. And it was kind of crazy, like to your point, that the level of like vitriol towards Obama. Look, there were, shall we say, stated and non-stated reasons for that opposition to Obama. You know, which we don't need to say directly. But I remember, I think it was Chuck Norris's wife at the time described Obama's election as like an era of like eternal darkness had fallen on America. And everyone's like, wow, that lady's crazy. And you look back on it and you're like, you know what? She was right.
Yeah, 100%. 100%, man. Yeah. Yeah, those were dark days.
Well, I think it's interesting too, because to your point about, you know, the death of Cheney, it feels like as well there was a real change in how the left viewed us. And look, like that's where some people put the start of the, you know, the so-called Great Awakening, right? The kind of emergence of like, you know, the Rainbow Coalition of Obama, but it does sort of feel like as if like the big bad went from being like RoboCop guys, people in a boardroom, sitting around polluting the water, doing stuff like that, to like grandpa. And then it became like grandpa's the guy you gotta go get. Do you see what I'm getting at there?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like the meme, it's like they're not after me, they're after you. I'm just standing in the way. Except it's that with Dick Cheney and like every nice old grandpa in America.
It's just some old guy in front of Dick Cheney. Hopefully doesn't have actually, speaking of that, you and I are both gun guys. Do you think that Dick Cheney accidentally shot that guy?
I like to think not. I mean, probably, but I'm an optimist. I like to think that he did it on purpose.
Yeah, I do too. I would honestly, it would disappoint me if it was an accident, because
yeah,
but you know what I mean, right?
It feels disrespectful to suggest that anything Dick Cheney's ever done in his life was an accident.
Yeah. Well, it's like, okay, do you want to be ruled by a guy who's a little bit sloppy with gun safety or a cold-blooded killer?
Right.
And
exactly.
It's like one of those is way cooler than the other. And if it's one of those things where it's like, that's the sort of like WASP version of falling out of a, an open window in Russia, where it's like critics of Putin, a trip down the stairs. It's like, well, critics of Dick Cheney have easily preventable pheasant hunting accidents. It's very Lindy when you think about it. Like, this used to happen to European kings all the time.
Yeah.
They'd be accidentally shot with a crossbow or something while hunting. So point is, I think it should happen more.
It is very Lindy. Yeah. It's a more dignified outcome than like a show trial or some type of public spectacle.
Oh, 100%. Because you're letting them keep some sort of semblance of dignity, right? Versus just lining them up against the wall. It's an aristocratic way of assassination.
Yeah, and Dick Cheney, like, there's there is a weird, like, we have shifted gears as a country where Dick Cheney, I remember the big allegation against him was like the war in Iraq was just so that Dick Cheney could like get rich. Like, it was about KBR and oil and like inside baseball and that kind of thing. And, the underlying premise, of course, is that George Bush and Dick Cheney don't care about like the U.S. or American troops or anything like that. The only thing they care about is, enriching themselves, which is different from the villain that we have now. Like, now, if you look at the political villains, that class of people, their stated goal is not really to like enrich themselves. It's quite literally to like destroy the country, which is a different thing. Like, there is, like, both things are bad, but like spiritually there is a difference between like simple political graft, where you look at a system and you're like, wow, I could potentially exploit this to become more wealthy, versus looking at a system and being like, I was born in Uganda and my only mission on earth is to dismantle this country out of like petty resentment. Like, those are just kind of different bad guys. And I don't, I don't know. I don't, Cheney, that whole thing is like quaint in hindsight. The idea, because as we saw from like the outcomes in GWAT, everyone involved at the high level used that 20-year period to end up wealthy or influential or in office or as board members or highly paid special consultants at Lockheed and Grumman and stuff like that. So it's not as though, and again, this is, I mean, I haven't thought about this stuff in like 20 years. So I'm just kind of going from memory and what people were saying. It was like, oh man, Dick Cheney, he's just, he's got this Kellogg Brown and Root, and he's like he's like a shareholder or something like that. And, he's giving out these contracts. And so he's enriching himself, blah, blah, blah. And then the whole thing, like everyone from basically top to bottom was guilty of virtually the same thing. And in hindsight, it's like, man, that was like a simpler time, because now, you have people whose entire goal is like destroying communities that have been here for hundreds of years, or fundamentally, you have people like Ilhan Omar, or the New York guy, the rice boy who eats shit with his hands, or like the guy that just wanted Virginia, who's like, well, we should be killing people's kids and stuff like that. Like, that's a totally different type of bad guy. And it feels somehow worse and like more corrosive and toxic than just a simple like Scrooge McDuck figure, where it's like, wait a minute, this guy's sleeping on a giant mountain of gold coins. Someone should look into this. It's like a totally worse deal for everyone involved somehow.
Oh yeah, well, it's like, if your death and impoverishment is incidental to a crime, it's sort of different than if that's the goal, Or it's like,
right.
You react differently to being like, oh yeah, I was trying to knock over a liquor store and someone got hurt, versus like I broke into someone's house and stabbed them 10 times. Right? Those are different crimes. We understand that there's a different order there. And I think that one of the other things that has been interesting in politics is the rise of kind of existential language, like trans genocide, which is not as existent as one might. Never mind, does not happen. You have the kind of conversation around J. Jones and others. It's like, okay, even if it's not literally immediately true, or it's like you lose an election and then there's a should we say like a mass hunting accident, just let past the YouTube censors, right? It's like that feels as if that's the direction things are going. And look, like hyperbole is always part of politics. People have always been saying, oh, you're trying to starve us, you're trying to kill us. But it's like, well, I don't know, man. Like, weird Discord losers are dropping bodies. Like this is not, to put it mildly, not a good thing.
Yeah.
And, I honestly, I feel kind of bad for the sort of like Obama is a gay Kenyan Muslim, nice old people. Because it's like the world that they know is just gone, and it's not coming back. And there's a very understandable confusion about that, where it's like, wait a minute, I thought that if you said you wanted to kill the other side in politics, you would be punished for that. And it's like, well, that's where you're wrong, bucko. The future is now, old man.
Yeah. It's a, I don't know. Obviously, people are coming off of the election, this week, and Virginia, of course, like went blue. New York, of course, goes, to Mondami. In themselves, like these things are not particularly like earth shattering. Like for Virginia to go to a Democrat is par for the course. And for New York to go to a Democrat is the same deal. But there are some like particularly, different aspects to it. Like the rhetoric, like you said, is much more heated, where everything is existential, like you said. And people, I don't know, people have seemed a little surprised or like, pissed off or black-pilled or whatever about the elections. And it's like, yeah, man, like, I don't know, like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, did you think, like, New York City is like 40% of everyone who lives there is not from here. Like, these people are never going to vote to pay their own bills. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you run. Whatever guy, like, says, I'm going to pay your bills for you because I am brown, just like you, is going to win the election no matter what. It doesn't, there's not like a circumstance where that doesn't happen. If that is like the demographics of your city, like if 40% of your city is from just all over the third world, that's it. It's game over. You're not going to be able to like talk to these people in such a manner as to like, convince them that like a Protestant work ethic and self-reliance and, rugged individualism is actually what they should believe. Because to them, that's a ridiculous thing to believe. It's laughable. Why would anyone live like that when you could just show up, wash up on the shores, and you're taken care of? Like your food is paid for, your cell phone is paid for, your housing is either paid for or heavily subsidized, your medicine is paid for or heavily subsidized. Literally every aspect of your life you are not self-reliant on. And so if someone shows up and says, hey, I am, foreign guy name, here's what I like, taking money from white people and giving it to brown people, gay people, fat people, getting abortions, bad table manners, felons on the subway, and getting rid of prison. Like, you're going to win in a landslide. It's shocking to me that people, I don't know, seem unable to come to terms with that, or like are shocked by it, or anything. It's to me, it's like, yeah, man, that was like, that was going to happen. The 10 seconds into this guy's first big TV ad, it was over. Like this was done. There was no other way it could have gone in New York City. Like there's just no other way for it to go. And so really what needs to be done, and Virginia, that's where the deep state lives. Like, aside from Maryland and like, of course, DC proper, like Virginia is where federal employees, particularly federal civilian employees, live. And for the last 10 months, the official position of the administration has been, we're going to fucking fire you, which I agree with. Like, that's fine. However, that's like, I was looking up the statistics on that. That's like almost 6% of Virginia's like adult workforce is federal employees. And so, they're going to come out and vote. Like, you can't lay off tens of thousands of people and tell them that, like, they're bureaucrat scum and then expect low voter turnout. Like, I think it's fine to lay those people off, and it's fine to criticize bureaucrats and bureaucracy, but you can't just take like, like a very not inspiring to listen to, like, nice old lady, like an old black church grandma, and just take one photo op of her with an AR-15 and be like, yeah, there we go, this ought to win the election. Like, that's a ridiculous way of approaching things. It arguably, like, it looks almost like controlled opposition or like deliberate losing, because if you asked someone like, hey, what do you think would be the worst possible way to handle like the Virginia gubernatorial like selection process for the red team. You couldn't really have come up with a worse idea than this. And that's like exactly what they did. Like if you asked someone like, hey, how would you socially engineer this campaign to make sure that it had plausible deniability, but that it would inevitably fail in like a tremendous fashion, that's what you would have done. Exactly what the GOP did. Find someone who's probably perfectly nice, just like as a person, but really cannot bring any heat at all in terms of politics. And just, there you go, run them against absolute hardline progressives who will just post the screenshots saying that they want to kill your kids and then be like, yeah, I'm not going to apologize for that. Because that will put asses into seats at the polling place. Like that is going to drive tremendous turnout for the blue team. So it is a real problem. I don't know what the GOP like. I don't know what their plan is here. Some of it you just got to charge to the game because, like I said, these are blue places to begin with. But we need to be taking steps to disenfranchise a lot of people, to make it maybe illegal to be a Democrat, to be denaturalizing and deporting tens, hundreds of millions of people. It's just not moving at the rate necessary to overcome this coming into midterms.
Yeah, the reaction to this has been kind of typically disappointing. A lot of people, particularly Dinesh D'Souza and others, have said, this is the result of not being significant or sufficiently welcoming to, blacks, gays, Indians, and Jews. His words, not mine. I would never be so crass. I think that's sort of a cope. Virginia shows that that's a cope, right?
Yeah.
The rules don't work like that. You can't simply say, well, if we have I'm using it in a anti-conservative literary analysis, so I can say this word, the magical Negro, right? The idea of that this wise older black person who will communicate the keys to winning. It's like that's not how it works, guys. And we've known that's not how it works for a long time. Like going all the way back to Clarence Thomas's confirmation, we've understood that like you can't just do that. Well, we should have understood that. We clearly have not. And to be honest, this was far and away the most mathematically likely reaction, or result rather, for all the reasons you said. And anyone telling you something different is selling you copium. Like, look, like this would have been a tough row to hoe no matter what. Like Youngkin was very popular, but he didn't have a strong successor. When you combine that with exactly what you said, the fact this is at best a blue-leaning purple state with a lot of government workers, well, you put every government worker's job in danger for the past year, they're going to be motivated. Similarly, Virginia did decide to, pay out of state funds for SNAP, but it's like you hold SNAP hostage. Oh, all of a sudden you've got another client group that is highly activated. And on the other end, the Republican candidate, as you've said, is almost tailored designed to fail, right? There's the demographic details, which are, not what Republican voters particularly care about. There's the fact that she is an immigrant, right? She's a, hyphenated American. And let's also be honest, she was pro the removal of Confederate statues, anti-Trump. Like this wasn't a great candidate. And look, like, I've sort of bitterly joked about this for the last year, really, ever since she announced this is what was going to happen. And it was what was going to happen. I think the desire to kind of shift blame on this is very cynical. Clearly so. So take what you will from that. I don't really think this is a particular, crippling of Donald Trump. This is some like repudiation of what he did or what he's doing. I mean, if anything, to your point, right, it shows that he's not doing what he's supposed to hard and or fast enough. It's sort of like you in order to do a revolution, you must do all of it. You can't do a half revolution. Uh, I think really the most entertaining thing, and I say this as someone who's, not normally following this issue, but the fallout of Fuentes' appearance on Tucker has been genuinely hilarious. Did you see? I don't know how to say his name. Podhertz. I can't say these Star Wars names. Did you see his epic meltdown on social media?
No. I can picture the name, but I don't know how to say it.
Dang it! I don't have my mobile in front of me, so I can't read it exactly. But it's basically him calling Mamdani in an oddly Thomas 777-esque capitalization scheme, like a little Dick Hitler and a bunch of other crazy stuff. So those sorts have been losing their minds, which has been kind of fun, if I'm going to be honest. But similarly, there's been this kind of reaction to the whole heritage thing, right? Leader at Heritage basically said Tucker's allowed to talk to whoever he wants to. The usual suspects have been quite upset by that. But one of the really funny things about that, I guess not funny, but here it is. Here it is. Let me read it out by John Podhoretz. Capital, Sean Davis, whose brain is home to the spirit of Hitler, weighs in on the Jews of NYC before he pleasures himself while reading the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Also, Jerusalem has more than twice the population of Tel Aviv. Adolf Jr. So this guy worked for the New York Post is just losing his mind in relation, of course, to this interview. But I don't know if you caught this. They've been struggle session. There's been a major struggle session Heritage apparently going on for the past 2 days, and not content to simply let that happen, they've also been leaking internal conversations. Like apparently there's a mole in there wearing a wire, like they're infiltrating a group of your countrymen, right, in some sort of scheme.
Yeah.
But the gotchas they're coming out with are like normal Christians being like, wait, so you're telling us we are required to go to a Shabbat celebration? Is that the new thing we have to do? And the other person's like, yeah, you do have to do that. It's just crazy that's the big gotcha.
Dude, it's nuts. I saw that like shortly before we started recording. I saw something that I haven't looked through it all the way, but it is funny. As soon as far as I could tell, the gotcha is like, I don't know why you would have to go to, what is this, a Shabbos or Shabbat dinner or something.
Some such.
I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is?
Is it like Jew communion? I don't know.
I don't know.
Only the most informed podcaster.
Yeah, let me look it up. What is a Shabbat dinner? Let's see what ChatGPT says. It's a traditional Friday night meal that marks the beginning of the Jewish Sabbath, which lasts from sundown.
So close to Jew communion. That's not horribly far off.
Yeah, but the trouble with this, a lot of Christians don't eat meat on Fridays. And so if you ask them to go...
Well, a lot of Catholics.
Yeah, but either way, if you ask them to go eat a bunch of on a Friday, right? Like, you can't go eat a bowl of fried foreskins on Friday if you're a Catholic.
Purely for dietary reasons, of course.
Right. These are legitimate dietary restrictions. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know, like, joking aside, I don't know what they eat. I don't know if they eat or not that day, but it says okay, so the meal, the menu varies by culture between Ashkenazi, Sephardic, and common dishes are bread, wine, chicken soup, roasted chicken, and brisket, and salads, and pastry, I guess. So that's, okay. But frankly, I wouldn't want to go to one of these dinners either. And it's kind of insane that the Heritage Foundation is like, all right, guys, like, everyone has to stay late for like Jew dinner.
I think it's funny that it's like, hey, your boss said something about Tucker Carlson on Twitter, so now you have to stay late after work to eat brisket and chicken soup.
Right. And, I heard the clip, someone named Daniel Mail or whatever, I quote tweeted this before we started recording, where I don't know who the person is here, but they apparently seem to be upset, or they're reporting that other people are upset, that this guy who was secretly recorded asking if he actually has to go to it, which the recording was perfectly reasonable. The guy is not being inflammatory. This is obviously like, it seems like he's among coworkers and he's just like, hey, like, I'm a Christian. I actually don't really feel comfortable like celebrating Judaism in like a religious like ritual because I'm not Jewish. Are you guys gonna like count this against me?
Reasonable class.
Right.
Roles were reversed, Lee.
Right. Yeah. And so this guy, I think I don't know who Daniel Mail is. So I don't know what this guy's politics are. I would err and say that he's on the side of the roast chicken and wine in this case. And I've already gotten somewhat of a strong response. Like, I quote tweeted it and said, "Bad news, buddy. We've got you on tape asking whether attendance at the Jewish religious dinner was optional. So unfortunately, we're going to have to fire you from this nominally Christian organization." And, it's just a joke. And someone named, I guess I shouldn't call people out on the stream, but someone posted and said, "You're also a fucking retard if you think it started here or think this is remotely close to what the real issue is. Keep attempting to carry water for groypers, though. It's easier to identify you frauds." To which I reply that I guess the dinner isn't optional then, because this is like the most insane thing that you could be told.
It's the most insane level of ethnic and religious chauvinism possible.
Like, imagine.
It's like, okay, yeah, well, not only do you have to like accept me into your club, but your club has to kneel to my specific interests, right? Like, now it has to become like in service of my thing. And also, you have to stay late after work to go to a religious event that makes me feel special. Like, if this were Chick-fil-A and it was whoever owns Chick-fil-A was like making, their like gay coworkers stay late to like, I don't know, like go to some like Christian rock concert or something.
Yeah.
Like, we have a whole division of the DOJ that exists to punish those people, right? To say that you can't do that.
Well,
but because this is appended to some like bizarre, national struggle session over whether the guy who used to work at Heritage thinks it's okay for Tucker Carlson to talk to somebody on his own podcast, unrelated, not produced by Heritage.
But that therein lies the rub, is that it's the same thing, because it's like, okay, like, why would I have to go to your dinner? I am not of this religion. It's like, oh, no, that's exactly why you have to do it. Like, it's the same thing with Tucker Carlson, where it's like, he does not work for the Heritage Foundation. So what takes place on his independently produced podcast is also not your business. And it's like, no, it is, for the same reason that you have to come to this Shabbat dinner. You also cannot have like as far as I know, Tucker Carlson literally records in a small building on his own personal property. So like there is no like Shabbat jurisdiction there in like the real world. You know what I mean?
I don't know if you're familiar. There's actually, this draws parallels to the FDR regime for any number of reasons. But maybe it works like interstate commerce, where it's like, oh, you were growing land, or you were growing grain on your own land to feed your own animals. Well, if you're doing that, you're taking away the opportunity to buy, grain from other people in other states. So it becomes like a purview of the government. Is the idea here that because Tucker is doing it himself, he is taking away an opportunity from another person, right, to be a conservative podcaster, and so therefore it becomes, by kind of the transitive property of podcasting, the fault of some random guy who works at Heritage who doesn't want to stay late on Friday to eat chicken soup.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yes, right. Yeah, I guess it also kind of parallels FDR, because there's a concerted effort to steal your gold too. So,
that's always my favorite one to bring up, because if you had all passed through like libertarian or kind of like old conservative circles, if the topic of FDR comes up, you're like, yeah, you realize he made gold illegal. Like,
right.
Come on, that didn't happen. Like, no, he actually just made gold illegal. Which, going back to our comments about Cheney, is sort of a level of megalomania I almost admire. Like, look, man, like we're hurtling towards like late empire stuff, right? Like we've got a grain dole, we've got a rich guy paying the army. I think we really need to get to like the Caligula stage. Like we had a brain dead Irishman in the White House, but we need to really round this out. Like I want a farm animal. I want a horse. I want, like, I don't know, gladiatorial combat on the White House lawn. Like, if we're going to go for Imperial decadence, I say full steam ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't know what the animal would, maybe a pit bull. Like that would be appropriate, I think.
The United States president mauled a toddler at the UN. Why was the toddler there? Don't ask.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was left over from dinner. Like,
I noticed, by the way, I was catching up on your appearance on the Good Old Boys. There was one very hard edit in that stream as soon as you started talking. And I don't know. This will probably have to be edited, but if you want the full one, you pay me $5, and that was a funny joke.
Yeah, I think a pit bull would be good. Like imagine like a State of the Union, and it's just like a pit bull comes out and like eats like a weed brownie while AOC and the squad like just really like loses their shit, is just happy. I think that could be.
I feel like that would really tap into. I mean, when you think about it, that's the Democrats should change their like party symbol. Like the donkey, no one cares about donkeys anymore. Donkeys are out. Donkeys are very 20th century. I think that they need to replace their symbol with a pit bull.
Dude, that would be so good.
It really ties together their core demographics of guys who own pit bulls and also women who own pit bulls. And I think that basically describes the Democratic Party.
It does. Yeah. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I'm not a big like graphic guy, but that would be a good thing to have on deck. Is just a
to really complete the symbolism, we can have both parties change their icons, right? The Democrats could be a pit bull, and the Republicans can change theirs to an unaccompanied toddler. And see, that will have layers of meaning. Because both relate to their relationship to the Democrats, and also to another group.
yeah. Because in 2028, when Gavin Newsom runs, he can run on the idea of like a toddler for every pit bull.
Yeah, I mean, why not, dude? I this is a complete separate, but you know how like the rationalist types, who are kind of past their sell by date, will always ask the most like just inane moral quandaries. It's like,
Yeah.
oh well, is it really wrong to have sex with a dead animal because it isn't hurting the animal? And any sane normal human is like, yes, that is wrong. Go away, right? Well, I think that we really need to expand, the moral horizon of our best and brightest minds into pit bull trolley problems, right? Like you have a pit bull, you can either direct it towards one vat-grown toddler given to you by Gavin Newsom, or let it run free and eat 3 Somalians.
Right. Yeah. Pitbull and like Ultima problems, could be good.
Just a chariot race.
Yeah,
Instead
like
of a
there's
chariot, it's just a flapped out Ultima.
yeah, there's an uninsured Nissan Altima driving, towards a fork in the road, and if it goes one way, it's going to run over George Floyd, and if it goes the other way, it's going to run over 1,000 pit bulls that have been abused.
Pit bull to Floyd ratio.
Right, like which way, if you were the illegal Uzbekistani Uber driver piloting the Ultima, like which way would you turn?
This is the entire philosophy the rest of time. Are you a big police activity fan, Lee?
Yeah, I'm not as I am. I'm not like religious about it, but from time to time I go down the YouTube rabbit hole and just have to watch it for like 20 minutes here and there.
It's same. I judge these entirely by the thumbnails. It's like, okay, is there a cool gun? Do I see someone about to be stabbed from first person? That seems interesting. Or is there a Nissan Altima? I'm literally not joking, because Ultima chases are sort of their own subgenre. And there's one, this is a great, like, I would say like just GIF. And it's a body cam footage from like near Atlanta or whatever. And it's just like a couple guys. I think there's been a fender bender, right? So there's like a policeman like taking the insurance report or whatever. And there's a flatbed there, like, with the bed, tilted down so that they can tow, whatever wrecked vehicle. And this woman in a uninsured Nissan Altima, not paying attention, hits the ramp truck, and like an action movie, shoots like 100 feet straight, like rolls over and everything.
Hell yeah!
And it was crazy video, like the pure like action movie in real life subgenre of police body cam footage. But I looked it up trying to find it again later. And you'll never guess whose fault that crash was, according to the woman involved in it.
Yeah, I wonder.
Your guess is right. Whoever else you said, that is someone she mentioned as a possible reason that she was launched through the air like a Hot Wheels car. So Lee, I charged you with looking for cases of comedic Italian racism. And instead of doing that, have I ever told you about Denver Riggleman?
No. Is that a real name?
No, Denver Riggleman is a real man. And Denver Riggleman is my favorite U.S. politician ever. He was a one-term representative for Virginia. And the reason I know who Denver Riggleman is because I was in his district. And he was running against Leslie Coburn, spelled Cockburn, which was funny enough. But, seems to just be like a normal middle-of-the-road rhino, right? Officiated gay weddings, big chamber of commerce kind of guy. Not that interesting. But midway through the campaign, and he's not doing great. He might win, he might lose, but, nothing crazy. he has a Bigfoot leak. Turns out this guy is a long-term Bigfoot fan and has personally drawn reams of explicit Bigfoot erotica.
Oh,
And when I mean explicit, I mean imagine a three-legged Bigfoot drawn by a 12-year-old. And
Okay.
he's put out dozens of these drawings. So this comes out, right? This guy not only has done the drawings, but he's part of like a Facebook group. Apparently is known as like a behind-the-scenes cryptid guy, like big into the sex lives of Bigfoot. Wrote a book about why women love Bigfoot, and his political opponents are like, "Oh, great, we got this guy. We're gonna sink him." Unfortunately, backfires because there's like 3 colleges in his district. So everyone who's like, I don't know, 18 to 22 is like, this is my guy. This is the funniest thing ever. This guy's in love with Bigfoot. He wants to have sex with Bigfoot. So it propels him to a very, honestly, underwhelming and short-lived political career. But he's my guy. And so I decided to look back up, like, oh, how's Riggleman doing? Turns out not great. But incidentally, he's the only Republican congressman, to ever speak out about QAnon. He's big anti-QAnon guy, and I always find it fun.
Like he does not like the whole Q thing.
Oh yeah, no, he thinks it's horrible. He's like, we need to get rid of this, which I find a very weird combination to be a stringent Bigfoot guy, and not just like believer, but like I am kind of aroused by Bigfoot, but to draw the line at QAnon, like I don't have a theory of mind for that.
No, that's interesting. I would have thought it would be like a concurrent interest of some type.
Yeah, 100%. Like the correlation seems strong. Like you can imagine maybe like there's a QAnon guy who's not a Bigfoot guy, but it seems like you've gone for a much more ridiculous conspiracy. Like go for all of them,
Yeah, that's interesting. What was this guy? Denver Riggleman was his name?
Yeah. He looks sort of like a slightly straighter Patton Oswalt. So he might have killed his wife, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah, you're right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. He really does look like Patton Oswalt.
Self-described Bigfoot scholar. You gotta find the drawing too. The drawing's hilarious.
Well, that's kind of like what I'm curious about. See, this is what's weird, man. He was in the Air Force for a long time, 1992 to 2007.
Well, I mean, at least part of that time it was kind of.
Yeah, like I don't think guys who are like Bigfoot fetishists should also be able to say they were in like cool sounding stuff like the 366th Fighter Wing. Yeah, there he is. Big interest in Bigfoot.
This is the drawing.
Oh God.
And I like how in this one he's saying this is the cover art for the book, and he's like, in the real one, I'm not hiding anything. But I like to imagine that he was part of this like super cool fighter battalion, and instead of some like pinup girl or like Death's Head or Dragon on the front of his fighter jet, he just has Bigfoot with just a giant dog on the front of it.
Yeah.
That fighter plane dropped like, I don't know, 30,000 pounds of bombs on Somalia or something.
Well, there is like a certain, I don't think this gets talked about enough. The Air Force has a big problem with people like this being in it. Like the Air Force and the Navy, like the overall military does, to be honest, but it seems like it's disproportionate to like the Air Force, where you get these guys who are, into Bigfoot erotica or diaper fetishes or just generic like transgenderism, furries, like that kind of thing. There's like a big population there. And I think that must be really terrifying if you don't know like what the real deal is with that. Like if you're a foreign like person, like if you are in some shithole country somewhere and someone tells you about like the US Air Force and is like, yeah, well, they have these stealth fighter planes that can like take off straight up and down and fire missiles from like 100 miles away. And they're driven by these weird like rapists who just like fly around at Mach 2 and like shit in a diaper while they sketch out Bigfoot erotica. That is like a terrifying opponent.
Have we considered that all of the the stories we hear about aliens abducting people and probing them are actually indicative of the fact that the real life 2025 Air Force just discovered time travel, and that's just what they got up to. It's abducting random farmers, subjecting them to bizarre medical experiments.
Yeah, I think it's entirely possible. Like these guys are like a sci-fi adversary. You know what I mean? Like in every sci-fi movie, there's some like unspeakable foe that is just going to do like really depraved like sexual torture and stuff like that, where it's like I don't know if you ever watched that old series Firefly, where it's like, oh man, you don't want to get captured by like the Reavers. Like these are like incredibly violent and like former humans that have mutated and will now just like rape you to death. Well, that's like, what's the difference between that and like a guy in a 336 bomber wing who like is dressed up like a wolf, is shitting in a diaper and like fantasizing about like sketching out Bigfoot's like, penis. like that is terrible.
What a time to be alive. Like, I'm sure you've seen the Stone Toss comic, where it's some like girl in Afghanistan, and she's like, "Oh well, at least the drone pilot who vaporized me is female."
Yeah, yeah.
Like, there's this like this idea you see in some like primitive tribal cultures, right, where it's like, oh, it's dishonorable to like be killed by a a woman or something like that, because it will shame your spirit in the afterlife. Like, what are the afterlife consequences for being blown up by a gay furry?
Yeah,
the world may never know.
Yeah, you have to be, I don't know, their sex slave in the afterlife, or like, whatever, however these people operate, whatever the submissive diminutive is in their deal, that's what you end up as,
And you know what the best part is? Dude, that'll be us. The Peter Thiel drones going around cross-referencing our social media posts with like eye in the sky space lasers. And you just get cooked by some dude in programming socks. But dude, we're fast coming up on time. It's late here, so I'll let you go. But where can people find more of your work?
Twitter at shortbag SMLE is the best spot right now. So Twitter or newsletter Inblock Press, ENBLOC press.com.
Well, cool. As far as my stuff, Jaybird Show, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Throw me a few bucks. You can hear the uncensored, unedited, and ad-free versions of the show. You do that on Patreon, Substack, or Gumroad. Again, Lee, I appreciate it. Everyone else, keep your head up. Well, I can't last forever.